so excited to kind of talk to you about this. I've been kind of going down a rabbit hole, so I wanted to share my rabbit hole information with you. So, LinkedIn, they actually released a paper in 2025, and if you haven't gotten that paper, you should. I will actually drop the link to that PDF. However, I've used Gamma AI to actually distill some of the information so that's a little bit more palatable because that paper goes deep. But in any case, so as you know, LinkedIn has changed its algorithm, but I think it's a good thing for us all, and especially for my people in aesthetics. And, if you're a dermatologist, plastic surgeon, you may be wondering, how does this change how you're doing online? And so I know many of us who are in the aesthetics industry, a lot of things are on Instagram. However, LinkedIn is a great place if you're a corporate company in medical aesthetics, if you're a partner in medical aesthetics to practices, and even if you are a practice or if you're in marketing for a practice, to actually get in front of a few people. The first one, getting in front of your IPP, your ideal partner profile. So people that you would like to partner with, your ICP, your ideal client profile, or if you want to go IPP, ideal patient profile. And also, maybe your IEP, your ideal employee profile. So you're going to be able to get in front of all of these people. So if you think of LinkedIn like wavelengths, like your brain saying whatever is within is going to be without. So if you're comforted by memes and seeing funny things and you always interact with that, guess what is going to start showing up on your feed over time? Yes. So you do need to curate the information that you are taking in, because as a man thinketh, so is he, or as a girl thinketh, so is she. And so we have to make sure that we're curating what we're doing so that we see things that we actually want to see. For example, my business Instagram has a completely different algorithm than my personal Instagram algorithm. And I curate what I look at purposely because I know once I start looking at certain things, it's going to start popping up everywhere, and then I'm not going to enjoy the experience anymore. So if you want to enjoy the experience of being LinkedIn, of being on any of these social platforms with AI, it's literally going to mirror your brain. So you got to think about what you're doing there. And you also have to think about what community that you're interacting with and you're engaging with on a daily basis. And so the best thing to do is play in the pool of the people you want to see you. And so the goal with LinkedIn, what they do now, is to pinpoint the most relevant 2,000 pieces of information and content that's tailored just for you, whether that's industry news, potential mentors, or internships. And so basically, as you know, there's been a lot of massive data volume. And LinkedIn literally had to figure out how to sift through this enormous amount of content to present each user with the most relevant information. And because what was happening before, the algorithm was like, okay, your followers are going to see your stuff, but they're maybe not your ideal patient or your ideal client or your ideal partner or what have you. And so information was constantly generated from diverse sources. And, there's challenges obviously in storing, managing, and updating that data at scale. And so real-time personalization is when this happens almost instantly. So you are going to experience your newsfeed unique and tailored to you that loads very quickly. Because, in this time, we want to see we have fish brains, I call it. We want to see updates quickly, and I do think that's something that's going to be happening now. So what's happening, LinkedIn, what they've done, they've trained their AI models to kind of, look at massive amounts of data, and it teaches them to recognize patterns in how you as a user interact with content. And then it helps make, and so it will go to understand what makes a post, article, or job relevant to you, okay? And so they convert that data really quickly. And so basically everything that we're doing online is creating something they call a digital footprint. And so they do intelligent matching algorithms, as you know, and the entire process from data analysis to content matches happens almost instantaneously. So if you're doing something and you're interacting in certain communities consistently for even, I don't know, I'm testing it out myself, like 10 days, I'm sure you're going to see lots of changes. I've seen lots of changes since I've been being a little bit more careful with what I like, what I kind of like linger on. And I actually say, if I'm not interested in the author or their content, I've actually said, I'm not interested in this author or his content, so that the algorithm starts to understand that Leslie does not want to see that. So how the system learns to update your preferences. So it analyzes, a lot of different information and what they call data points and features, and includes your online behavior, like what content you engage with, what, people that you're connected to interact with, details about the content itself, such as the creator, topic, and overall popularity. And so they use things like natural language processing to help the AI better understand the actual text and themes shared within the content. And so what they do, they kind of create a sort of digital mapping system. And so when you like a certain type of content, the AI learns to place your profile and that content closer together. So it really goes back to vibrations, and it's going back to AI, but like, what you constantly think about is going to come closer to you. So it's almost making this into like a sci-fi type of situation. That's how I feel. And so this process of representing users and content as numerical embeddings allows the AI to calculate similarities and make very highly personalized recommendations. And so also it doesn't only show you what you like, but also introduces you to things that might be things that you're not interested in a lot, or that you might not show artistically that you're interested in. And so basically they do that so it can actually really, really, really improve your actual interests. And so by learning from wrong answers, the system predicts relevant content for you and increases by 3.6%. So I think that's something that's very interesting to see. So yeah, they're kind of playing a matching game and about what you like, and it's very interesting. And so they scale it for any device, and so they're trained to understand the blueprints at almost any level. And basically, once they understand that, they can extract that without losing important information. And so basically, they can do that, from using, LinkedIn on your phone or computer or what have you. It just really trains the system on what you're actually looking at. And again, here I talk about basically there's real-time data ingestion, and so they capture and process incoming information at like warp speed, and that actually helps the LinkedIn algorithm to rapidly update the data. And they have intelligent pattern recognition, and so that enables them to anticipate needs and generate personalized recommendations for you. And they leverage a distributed network that operates in parallel. And so basically with that, the insights into you and what you're interested in is basically real time. And they said with the data, it's like in seconds. And so this is just really interesting. This is really, that part of the paper just really goes into making it a really dynamic experience so that you are almost seeing in real time what you're interested in. And so, like I said, we need to test this. We need to see how this actually works, but I think it's very exciting. So real world impact. So there is a 0.8% increased company revenue on LinkedIn. So they made money. Of course they want to make money because LinkedIn is thinking 10 years out, okay? They're thinking about who is going to be our next user. So for the past 10 years, people that have been on LinkedIn, I've been posting on LinkedIn, for example, since I've been 24, 25 years old. Like I can go back and find posts that I did, articles that I wrote back in 2016, before AI was a thing, right? Because I just love to write, former English major here and everything. So, but LinkedIn is a business. So they're like, okay, they want to make the experience good for Gen Z. Gen Z really wants to make sure that what they're seeing is personalized. As a millennial, we use LinkedIn a little bit different. We were like, okay, I'm so honored and humbled to announce that I won this award or what have you, and that is something that we use it for as millennials. So if you're, in your late 30s, or 40s, you get what I'm saying. We use LinkedIn a little bit differently, but people are coming to us as a source of information. And so there's been an increase in community engagement. So they observed a 0.2 daily rise in active users participating in discussions, because guess what? If you see discussions that are relevant to you, you're going to want to jump in on it when you have some time in between writing that next report that needs to be on your boss's desk, right? Or between posting that before and after or whatever, right? And there's an increase of 3.29% in user retention. And so new users, they kind of pinpointed that, who often struggle to find relevant content, experienced 3.29% improvement in discovering engaging ideas and activities. And so this algorithm is really studying you, okay? And also, what happened here is that there was an increase in 1.17% of facilitated connections for less active users. So basically the system successfully recommended content networking opportunities to people that maybe post a few times a month, or maybe log in once or twice a week. And these people have been, there's been a 1.1%, 7% uptick in their usage. This helped them find new interests and basically potential collaborators within the platform. And so basically what LinkedIn is saying here in this paper is that their recommendation engine was very effective in addressing the needs of new users with those limited connections and significantly improving their engagement and long-term retention. Because long-term retention goes back to what in the future? They want to make sure LinkedIn is setting themselves up to make sure they get really great advertising dollars. And so, build your squad on LinkedIn. So number one, you're going to want to showcase your skills and knowledge. So regularly share the cool projects that you're working on, your passion projects, and think of it as building your online portfolio and your personal brand. And, short videos are great. Infographics. Writing is still king here. Post new valuable content 3 to 5 times a week. Make sure it's informative. And, you could use hashtags or what have you so people that are interested can find it. But with the algorithm, I don't know how important that is, but that's what the paper says. You want to connect and interact meaningfully. So when people comment on your post, respond quickly or respond at least, I would say, within the day if you can. So you want to ask open-ended questions that kind of keeps the discussion going. Unless they, obviously commented with AI, then tell them to go to hell. That's what I do personally. And, celebrate the achievements of others in your network and make sure it's your network. So last night I was at dinner with a couple of my friends and we hate the word networking. We believe it's like relationship building. So as you're building your career, it's like, what relationships are you going to be able to bring the most value to? And what relationships are going to be able to give back to you as well? And when you're thinking about that, you really need to think about, okay, again, ideal patient profile. So your ideal patients, you should be commenting on their things. You should be connecting with them. So if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, you really need, if it's not you, you need to have someone who really crafts who is my ideal patient avatar? How old are they? What do they do for work? Where do they live? And then connect with these people every single day and have a number on it. Say, I'm going to connect with 10 of these types of people a day. If you use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can make sure that they've been active in the past 30 days and then comment on their things and build relationships with them or have a media assistant build that for you, right? That's something that we do at Diamond Hands Media. And so when people comment on your posts, that is something that is going to change that algorithm. So ideal patients, ideal partners, if you have partners that you want to have or what have you. Say you are a medical corporation, aesthetics corporation, and you want to kind of like look at partners in M&A, or you want to look at partners that can help you in your business or what have you. You want to be interacting with that. So then you get on their radar. And, give shout outs and share content from others who are doing great work that are relevant to you, and grow your network, as I mentioned before, strategically. So this last part, I would say be careful with that. But it's just like, if you're curious about things and you want to see more of that come up in your feed, then start interacting with it. So say, for example, you're very interested in, I don't know, let's do an example of like a new laser therapy. And maybe you start commenting and liking things that have to do with that. That's essentially going to be on your feed more often because it's showing that you're interested in that. And if you want to send a personalized note and connect, that's great. I personally don't send personalized notes. I'm just like, hey, how you doing? Or what have you. Or I just connect, and then I might reach out to someone after I've been interacting with their content. But I think interaction comes first before personalization. Actively participate in discussions with professional groups that are symbiotic to you. And then you could organize and join live sessions to share insights and connect with a wider audience as well. And so when you are really focusing on connecting with your ideal client profile, these people are going to start seeing your posts, and hopefully you're posting things that are relevant to them. So get very granular on that and get very specific with that, because you really want to make sure that you're in their ecosystem and that they think that your content is interesting to them. And so, with that, again, if you're thinking of this for a media strategy going forth, it's like, if you think about maybe month 1 to 2 is foundational planning. Identify your target audience very deeply. Psychographics, demographics, all those things, and the content topics that are genuinely interesting to them, that is something where you provide that value to them through your business, right? You want to research relevant keywords to optimize your online presence. And then through 5 through 6, or sorry, 3 through 4, encourage your team. And if your team is posting, even better, to contribute to content creation. I actually have heard of, I was on LinkedIn, someone would pay their team additional, I think it was $20,000 to post on LinkedIn. But if your leadership team is posting on LinkedIn and you're all kind of, telling your personal stories, and then also making sure you're tying things back into business goals that are interesting to your ideal patient profile or ideal client profile, this is going to maximize the visibility into your business if people are interested in what you're putting down. And so you want to actively monitor which types of information perform best, obviously, and then make sure and just because it's performing best doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing, because you might be putting out information that your ideal client profile doesn't care about, but maybe the masses care about. So think about that as you're doing your strategy. And maybe host your first, in months 5 to 6, host your first interactive live streams or Q&A sessions, connect directly with your audience, start an email newsletter. I love that. Or group chat for your most dedicated followers or your patients or what have you, offering them unique content, and explore collaborations with other creators or influencers who align with your brand. A great way to do that. My favorite way to do it is podcasting. And then months 7 to 12, you want to continue. This is a little far out, but you definitely want to make sure you're analyzing your performance of your content to understand what drives the most likes, shares, and overall engagement over time. But make sure, again, that it's things that are interesting to your ideal client profile or your ideal partner profile or your ideal employee profile, depending on what your goals are. Because you do need to make sure that you know what your goals are before you start doing all this posting, because, you might say you start doing memes or what have you, funny stuff. People think it's funny, but what eyeballs are actually getting on your content? Okay. And so utilize targeted online advertising. That helps too, to expand your reach and attract new followers. And so these are the things that you want to do, because even in your newsletter, you can, post you could send out a post maybe at the bottom that was your most successful post of last week, and to see if you could start getting those eyeballs that are already interested because they're in your email newsletter to start looking at your things on LinkedIn. Because then if your community that is your ideal profile is looking at your content, then the algorithm is going to start to show that content to even more people who look like the people who are really invested in your stuff. Okay. So, of course, as I mentioned, understand your intent. And so artificial intelligence is only going to get more exceptional at understanding what you're trying to find, even if what you're putting in the search is not perfectly worded. And so this paper is just so deep. And, the LLMs behind the advanced search engines, they really do a great job of interpreting context and intent, because they're literally analyzing gajillions of points of data points, and they kind of understand the nuances to understand what you want, and it kind of changes over time. And they are designed to process an enormous volume of information and user requests with incredible speed. And so this efficiency is just something that's going to keep on getting better. And personalized discoveries and engagement, beyond just finding information, these AI models can personalize your experience by recommending content, products, or communities that align with your interests. And so, for instance, streaming services use AI to suggest new shows you might love, and social media platforms recommend connections, as you've seen. And so LinkedIn is just now getting on this bandwagon now. And so this capability can help businesses, from entertainment companies to online retailers, is in my industry in aesthetics, to engage with their audience more effectively to keep them coming back. It's just really important that you're putting the right things out there and engaging in the right communities in order for your algorithm to kind of reset itself. And for people who might be searching for you're putting out things that is for them and only think about them. And so some of the future directions that the paper was talking about is developing methods to filter out irrelevant or low quality information more effectively, enhancing AI models, continuously improving the intelligence and processing speed of the AI systems. That paper also talked about streamlining data management, simplifying how AI organizes and accesses information for greater efficiency, and user-centric customization, exploring new ways for users to directly influence search priorities and personalization settings. So these are such cool things that are coming into the space. And so many people are like, oh my God, the algorithm's dead. No, you just have to be more intentional. Just like, I wrote, my book that I recently came out with is, be intentional or be irrelevant. You have to be very intentional. You have to be intentional about what you watch, what you post, what you consume, because all of these little nuances in your daily online behavior is going to change, number one, what's recommended to you, and number two, how what you're putting out there is recommended to people that you actually want to be in your business community as clients, employees, or partners. All right. My name is Leslie Tracey. I am the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Hands Media. We are a media and business consulting firm for the medical aesthetics industry. We work with aesthetic founders and executives of corporations to help them to distill their message out there through writing and visual media. But yeah, if you like this, let me know. I love Gamma. I'm not a partner of them, but I love them. This was really great. And I will actually get you that actual paper, the PDF, if you really love the science and geeking out. But this is just kind of a distilled version so that you can kind of understand what's going on. All right. I hope to be connected. Bye.